you to a different type of a focus where we're pacing our breath. And this is what type of breath yogis use in yoga. So tapping into this breath, feeling into our body, it's really important. And plus, just breathing deeply like this has been known to lower your blood pressure, slow your heart rate. It's just overall really good for your health as well. Just breathing, kind of cool. So let's really feel into the breath here. And as we're tapping into the breath and we found that rhythm that works for us, let's take a moment to think of a word that feels good to say during today's practice. So some words that I would offer would be something like worthy, strong, joy. So think of something positive, something that can really resonate with you. Maybe you might think of love. Yesterday we thought of connected. So it can be a deeper meaning for you as well. So what is going on in your life where you need to like tap into a mantra? Maybe you need focus. Maybe you need balance. Or maybe you need more compassion or empathy. Like, what is the word? Let's tap into that. So once you find your word, maybe you can add the words I am in front of it. So I am focused. I am strong. Or it feels better just to say the word as the word. So strong, strong. So as we move through the practice, you can think of this word. So as the inhale comes, think I am, and then the exhale, you can think the word. And just stay focused here. And if you find that the word isn't the word you want, you can always change it. So remember that, like, if it's not feeling good, you can always like change it up during the practice. But try to say it a few times as we're practicing, especially as we're inhaling and exhaling with intention, just to allow the word to like resonate. Saying mantras and affirmations have a lot of meaning and depth. And so taking the time to do this is really important, especially when you're practicing yoga, because you can bring more meaning to your practice. So take a couple of breaths here, just enjoying the word that you've chosen. On that next exhale, plant that left foot and the right foot crosses over, finding a figure four. And here we can rock our hip back and forth and just begin to feel into our hips. So you don't have to rock your hip. You can stay completely still. Either way is good. There's no wrong adventure here. So just take the time. Maybe on the inhale, we rise up to the middle. On the exhale, you might lower down to one side. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, lower down. Or maybe you stay right at the top the whole time. On that next exhale, we can lower down our right leg, plant that into the ground, adjust our hips, and then let's lift our left leg and cross over, finding figure 4 on the other side. And again, we can rock our right leg back and forth here. You might get a little spinal adjustment, or you can keep your leg completely still and just focus on that left hip opening up slowly. This is just a great way to feel into your hips and feel grounded. And then tapping into that intention. So as we inhale here, we think I am, and then exhale, think of the word. And on that next exhale, let's plant the left foot down and let's just allow both knees to rock back and forth here, both sides, slowly beginning to like open up the hips, feel into everything. And then bring the soles of the feet together and let's sit in reclined butterfly and just notice like where our hips are at this morning here in this pose. But you can also be with broken warrior. So if that is pinchy on your back and you're just like, this isn't feeling good, you can take your feet to the outside edges of your mat and let your knees just kind of come into each other, making a triangle shape. So both versions work the hips. So stay here or choose your broken warrior path. And just take some deep breaths here, tapping into the affirmation, feeling good about it. On the next exhale, let's plant both legs down onto the mat and let's roll up all the way up to seated. So roll onto one side and push yourself up and let's find a seat. So I recommend sitting on a bolster or something that gives you a little bit of a lift. And let's cross our legs here and bring our hands to our knees and then just close our eyes and tap back into the breath as we sit here in our comfortable easy sit pose. Taking a deep inhale and then exhale. One more time, deep inhale and then exhale. On that next inhale, let's raise both of the arms up. Maybe we open the eyes or keep them closed. And exhale, let's lean forward and find a forward fold. So chin to chest here and just rock your back a little bit, maybe to the left and to the right, or maybe wiggle the shoulders. See what feels good here. On that next exhale, let's push ourselves all the way back up. Bring our hands again to our knees and let's close our eyes and take our right ear to right shoulder. So we're just stretching out the neck here. So from the left ear all the way down the left shoulder, you should feel a really nice stretch. You can even rock your chin up and down and feel into the sides of the neck as well. This should feel really good. If you're feeling pinchiness or anything, you can always back off. So find your edge and lean into it, or find your edge and back off. Both are good. On that next exhale, come back to center. Allow the right ear or the left ear to come down to the left shoulder. So you're stretching the right side. So right ear all the way to right shoulder is feeling that deep stretch. Taking some deep inhales here. Allowing yourself to really find the stretch. You could even lift and lower your chin, feeling into that version of the stretch as well. And then we come back to center, and let's just draw some circles or make some circles with our neck, leaning back and forward. Going around really slowly, feeling into every little vertebrae and little muscle that's in our neck. Once we've gone around 2 or 3 times, make sure you go in the opposite direction. And then come back to center once we've done both sides, and maybe close your eyes again. Tap back into the breath, taking a deep inhale and exhale, and feeling into your affirmation. On that next inhale, both arms come up. Maybe we open the eyes, maybe we don't. And we twist over to the right and lower down the hand. So the left hand comes to right knee. Right hand is behind and we look over the right shoulder. Inhale, we lift our chest. Exhale, we twist. Inhale, we lift. Exhale, we twist. Finding some twisting vibes here. Should feel really good on your spine. So lean into it if it does. On that next exhale, we come back to center. And then inhale, both arms come up. Maybe eyes are closed, maybe not. We twist to the left. Exhale, bring both hands down. Right hand to left knee, left hand behind. And we look over the left shoulder. Inhale, we lift. Exhale, we twist. Inhale, lift. Exhale, twist. And then come back to center. And take some deep breaths here. Hands to knees or in your lap. And then on that next inhale, we raise both arms up. Maybe your eyes stay closed, maybe not. Right hand comes down, left hand comes over. Left hip stays down as we reach over to the right with the left hand. Feeling into that side stretch. On that next exhale, we come back to center. Both arms come up. Exhale, lower the left hand down, finding side stretch on the other side. So reaching over to the left, the right hip stays down this time. And then on that next exhale, both arms come up, and then we bring our hands behind us, and let's switch the direction of our legs. So if our right leg was in front, now the left leg. Inhale, both arms come up. Exhale, we reach forward and bring chin to chest, and maybe we just rock side to side and feel into that stretch. So taking the time to stretch our back again, feeling into that forward fold. Take some deep breaths here. On the next exhale, let's rise all the way back up and let's bring our legs out so they're just in a comfortable extended position. So here we want to not be too wide, not be too narrow, just comfortable. So legs are extended. Option to flex the feet, don't have to, but you can. Lift the chest, maybe we look up, maybe we raise our arms up, and then exhale, we hinge at the hips. And the arms lower down, wherever they're at is perfect. So they might be the shins, ankles, or toes. And then look forward and lift up on the inhale. And the exhale, we fold a little bit more. And just notice, like at the beginning of practice how tight our hips were and where you're at right now. We'll be doing some more hip stuff, fun hip stuff in just a minute. Just like noticing how your hips are feeling is important. You could even close your eyes and really feel into your body as you say your mantra or your affirmation. On the next exhale, come all the way back up. Let's extend our right leg out in front of us. Left leg comes in for seated tree. So thinking about that left hip opening up, and then we find a little semi-twist to the right, and then our torso might be a little bit more in line with our left or our right leg. I'm like trying to realize which is my right, which is my left. Inhale, both arms come up. Exhale, we reach. Maybe our hands wind up at our shins, maybe our ankles, maybe our toes. Wherever they're at is perfect. Keeping in mind the goal here is to feel the hip stretch, not to reach your nose all the way to your knee. I used to always think like, well, if my yoga instructor is doing that, then I need to do that. And I just don't feel like that's really what needs to happen. Everybody has different flexibility levels. And so you just never know like what that yoga instructor had to do to be there that day. And back when I first started doing yoga, that never was discussed. It was just like, oh, well, if she's that flexible, then I want to be that flexible, when she may have been practicing 2 hours before the class. Who knows, you know? And then on that next exhale, let's push ourselves all the way up and then switch sides. So left leg extends, right leg comes up, and then find that little semi-twist to the left and flex that left foot. And then inhale, we raise our arms up. Exhale, we reach towards the foot. Maybe we land shin, ankles, or toes. Wherever you're at is perfect. Just focus on that. Let's take some deep breaths. And I encourage you to close your eyes while we practice any of the poses, just because you could really feel into the poses. You can really focus on the feeling. And we're seated, so it's a bit safer, so to speak. So try it. See how it feels. Taking some deep breaths here, feeling into the stretch. On the next exhale, raise all the way up and then bring both feet in, finding butterfly or Baddha Konasana. And thinking about if your knees are up here, try to bring your feet out a little bit more and notice how maybe your knees might settle down. Because this is a hip opening stretch, so if your hips aren't open, it kind of like does the opposite effect. It just makes you uncomfortable. So just listen to your body wherever you're at in this moment. Take a deep inhale, maybe reach for your ankles, and then you can press your elbows into your knees a little bit here if that feels good. So this is another great pose where we could close our eyes and just begin to like breathe. Focus on the breath. As we inhale, we may rise a little bit. Exhale, we may lower a little bit. So notice where we're at with the breath. Inhale, we rise. Exhale, we lower. We'll be here for at least a minute. So really focus on the breath. Try to close your eyes or maybe have a super soft gaze like those Magic Eye posters in the 90s. You know what I'm talking about. I never could see them. I never could see them. Everybody's like, stand here. And we're all staring at these weird pictures like, I don't even know. So take some time. Oh my gosh, my mother hung one in our home like as a piece of art. So dumb. That was a style, baby. Take some deep breaths here. Focus on how you feel in this posture. How does it feel? On that next exhale, let's rise up all the way and let's extend our legs so we find a wide-legged seated pose. And we flex our feet. You could also be relaxed, but toes need to be pointed up. So the tendency is the toes come in, kind of like this. Even with feet flexed, they'll start to come in. So just work them up. And just remember, like, if you that begins to happen, maybe you just back off of the stretch a little bit. So let's take a deep inhale. Maybe we look up. And then exhale, begin to hinge forward. Your hands begin right in front of your thighs or right in front of your chest, and begin to walk your hands a little bit further out and allow your hips to open up slowly here. So thinking about planting your hands and then maybe taking like a little step with your hands and then taking some deep breaths and then another step and seeing how that feels. And just slowly finding your edge. It doesn't have to be, boom, this is the pose. It can always be slowly walking into the pose. And I feel like this pose especially, it takes a while for anybody to like get into it. It's not something you can just pop into. Take a deep inhale, maybe we look up a little bit. Exhale, maybe we fold a little bit. Maybe we just allow our elbows to bend instead of walking our hands. So just focus on the breath, focus on how your hips feel, and feeling into all the stretchiness, the stretchy, amazing vibes. Maybe closing your eyes and or having that super soft magic eye gaze. And really feeling into your body like, I am, and then whatever your word is, or maybe you're just saying the word. So let's focus here. I'll be here for maybe another 30 seconds or so. And that next exhale, let's push ourselves all the way back up. And let's find tabletop. So coming onto all fours, knees are under hips, hands and wrists are under shoulders. And let's think about inhaling, allowing our belly to drop, feeling into that spine, exhaling, rounding the back, feeling into the shoulders, inhaling and exhaling. Finding the stretch, feeling into the spine. On that next exhale, lean back. If you have a bolster or blanket or something for your knees, I would say use this here. We're gonna do some hip opening, some more hip opening stretches. We'll do low lunge. And then grab your blocks if you have them. You don't have to use them. It just brings just that security for you if you need it or if you like it. Let's put your left knee onto the bolster. You could also use a blanket, a pillow. There's lots of different options here. You don't have to use a bolster. I just like to use something for cushion underneath your knees, just because we're going to be here in this pose for a bit. And sometimes the knees get tired, and it's nice to have cushion so you can even stay in the pose longer. The goal here isn't strong knees. The goal here is open hips. So planting your right foot down and finding the hips to just kind of lower down and open up. And then lifting the chest up. You can always just keep your hands on your hips here. Engage your core slightly, just finding that low back support that you may need. And if you're using blocks, you can bring hands to blocks And think about it like pressing your hands into the blocks, and your hips could go even lower. So like the blocks are really just kind of like allowing you to reach a different place in the practice. And if you don't have them, the strength really comes through with the right leg with the hands on the hips. Both versions are perfect. So wherever you are, just be present here, taking some deep breaths. On that next exhale, push into the right leg. And if you're using blocks, move them back, flex your right foot, and you can have a light touch onto the blocks, or you can keep your hands on your hips. This becomes like a balance posture a little bit. This is half split. So that right leg is completely straight. Then that right hip might be raised up. Notice how it's raised up. So try to lower it down and then lead with your chest. So head stays up, and then your hands can maybe reach to the ground, to the shin, or to the hips. So wherever they're at is great. Just try to keep that hinge in your hip so you're really focused on lowering that right hip down. And you're looking straight ahead. So find a spot, take some deep inhales and exhales here. The whole back of the right leg is getting a deep stretch. And then on that next exhale, both blocks come to the inside of the right leg and we swing it around. And both knees then can sit on wherever we're working, and just notice the difference between the right and the left leg. If you're using blocks, go ahead and set them back up at the front, and then let's set ourselves up for the other side. So right knee stays back, left foot comes forward, and if you have hands on hips, let's do that again. So thinking about those hips lowering down as your chest kind of lifts up, really opening up the hips, that right front of the right thigh and the back really gets a deep opening here. Taking some deep breaths, feeling into this stretch. On that next exhale, we push into the left leg and have our hips just kind of work their way back. So flex that left hip, and then we hinge at the hip so that left hip really sinks down, and we lift our chest. So we're trying to find that stretch in the back of the left leg. If it doesn't feel like you're super duper stretched and meeting your edge, maybe try sinking the hip down more. And it's like these tiny little movements that only you can feel in your body. So it's like, you know, that left hip might be raised up because you're at your edge and that's where you're at, and it's perfect. But if you know you can go deeper, try to lower it down and see what happens. On the next breath, bring both blocks to the inside of the left leg and then swing it around. And then go ahead and come up onto your knees. So maybe you have some sort of cushion or something like that under your knees. And then we lift up the chest, look up, and just let our arms come by our side. So really trying to stretch the chest here. So arms are reaching behind us, like reaching towards the ground. We're not trying to do a back bend here. So really focus on the chest. So if the hips are going forward, try to bring them back in line. Find that alignment, and we're really just trying to allow our chest to open up here. And then bring both arms kind of up like you're circling your arms, and then lower them back down. So it's just this wide up down movement, just feeling into the strength of your chest. And then on the exhale, we can round the shoulders and find that stretch in the back of our shoulders. We could just kind of wiggle our shoulders here. Should feel really good. All right, let's move our blocks aside. If you have a bolster and you know how to use it in pigeon, then do that. You can set up your bolster in 2 blocks. But if you don't and you'd like to just do pigeon without, let's do that. So tabletop position, find it, and we're going to be going into pigeon. So taking your left knee all the way up by your wrist, and then you can sit over to the left and help your left foot come up so that your shin is parallel to the top of the mat, and then come back to a seated, or this version of the pose, I don't know, this tabletop. And then tuck this back right knee or back right toe and find the version of pigeon that feels good. So both hips facing forward. Your left leg is kind of like at a figure four, or this kind of altered bent knee pose. You can take a block or blanket or something and put it under your hips and just kind of use that for leverage, just depending on where you're at in the pose, and really like finding these little tiny movements that might just help you out. So like my stomach was kind of like rubbing up against my leg in a weird way, and I just shifted. The stomach kind of like moved, and then I shifted back, and I was able to get like that much deeper into the pose. So little things like that are like really important to just kind of recognize in pigeon, because you can always like find that move, and then you can get in a little bit deeper in a comfortable way. So here we are in pigeon. You can stay up here on our hands, or we can lower down to our forearms, or you could be on blocks. So take a deep inhale, maybe we look up, and then exhale, let's find our pigeon. So we might just walk our hands forward and feel into this version of pigeon, depending on how open our hips are. I feel like I can go down to forearms for a second, and then my hips go, oh no. So, you know, just trust your body. If you're in a pose or in a version of the pose and you're like, I can do it, I can push through, you don't want to hurt yourself. So just listen to your body, feel into the pose. We'll be here for 2 minutes. So taking some deep breaths here, feeling into this amazing pigeon pose. And maybe just tapping into that affirmation we had before. So I am, and whatever the word was, taking that word with you. Feeling into the posture, trying not to think about anything else, maybe even closing your eyes and just allowing yourself to just like submit to the pose. We'll be here for another minute, maybe 40 seconds. So maybe 3 deep breaths here, really deep ones. Inhale and exhale. We're in this fight or flight, and taking the time to breathe can help us just stay focused. And then on that next exhale, begin to shift over to the left side and extend your left leg. Maybe come back up to the tabletop as slowly as you can. I thought I could just like lift my other leg. That did not happen. And then shake out that left leg and begin to just like rotate the hip a little bit. Feel into the stretch. Whew. And then go ahead and sit back onto your knees, lift up the chest, and let's find that shoulder stretch one more time. So thinking about opening up the chest here, engaging your core, arms come behind, squeezing your shoulder blades together. So really finding that chest stretch should feel really good, maybe even lifting your chin. And again, you're sitting straight up and down, so no pushing the hips forward, keeping them completely straight up and down. Engage your core slightly, and maybe we raise the arms up and down a little bit. Feel into those shoulders. And then exhale, we round the shoulders and find this version of the stretch. So hands are in front of us, chin to chest, really stretching out the back of the shoulders. All right, so let's bring our hands back down to the mat, finding our tabletop. Set yourself up if you like pigeon with bolster. And then take your right knee to your right hand. And then you can shift your hips down to the ground and help this right leg come up so it's parallel to the top of the mat. And then we find our pigeon. So we shift our hips over our leg, and then our hands come to the mat. We're looking forward. We can tuck the toe in the back, lift up the knee, and then set it back down. So whatever position you're in is a good one. So maybe this might be a little bit too much. You might need to like come up a little bit, and that's totally fine too. So stay here, or maybe just find your little micro adjustments. What feels good? What feels good? I did my little belly trick again. And then I take a deep inhale, we look up, and then exhale, come down. Try it. Try the forearms, see what happens. This side I'm a little more open. So my forearms, I can come down, I can be down a little bit longer, but my hips are still a little bit tight, so I'm gonna stay up. That's just kind of noticing how my body feels. I could probably stay down, but I'm gonna stay up. So we'll be here for 2 minutes, and let's take the time to close our eyes or have a soft gaze and feeling into the affirmation and how our body feels at this moment. So if you're kind of in this fight or flight mode, like, should I stay, should I go? I need to get out. Oh my gosh, this is a long time. How much longer? Let's stay focused on the things that make you happy. The word that we used, the breath. The breath calms the nervous system. So notice your breath. If you're feeling a bit of like, I need to get out of this, maybe you need to take some deeper inhales here and some deeper exhales. Let's do this 2 more times. Deep inhale and deep exhale. And then on that next exhale, we can begin to shift over to the right and shake it out. There's no graceful moment from pigeon. It's doing whatever the body tells us to do. Find your tabletop. Shake out that right leg. Do a little hip swivel situation here. You can do some hip circles. And then let's find our backs. So we'll end how we started on our backs. If you'd like to have something underneath your hips or something like that, then listen to your body. By all means, do that. Our knees are bent, our feet are flat on the earth. And let's just begin to rock the knee side to side. Just begin to feel into the body as it's on the mat. Arms can be by your sides or wherever feels good. And then let's extend our right leg. Left knee comes into chest and find supine twist. So right hand grips behind the left leg and helps it over to the right. So we extend our left hand off to the side, finding supine twist. So take a deep inhale here, lift a little bit. Exhale, we fold a little bit. On that next exhale, begin to unroll. So slowly, slowly, allow that left hip to come all the way back down to the mat. And then both feet plant onto the mat as we shift our hips to prep for the other side. So extend our left leg now. Right knee comes into chest. Grab behind the right knee with the left hand and let's find supine twist on the other side. Right hand extends. We're looking straight up at the ceiling. Maybe you might find a spinal alignment, maybe not. My back popped 4 times. I don't know what that says about me. Take a deep inhale, maybe you lift up. Exhale, we fold that much deeper. And then on that next exhale, begin to unravel, allowing that right hip to come to the mat. Slowly, slowly. Poof. And then both feet come to the mat, lift the hips up. Let's find that reclined butterfly again. So the soles of the feet touch, knees open wide, and then hands can be above your head. Elbows are bent, fingers reaching towards each other. So just feeling into this and maybe noticing, like, how did it feel when you first started and how does it feel now? So just taking some deep breaths, letting gravity do its job here. Feeling into the stretch. It should feel really good. Now this might be your Shavasana. This might be the pose that you want to stay in. But if there's another pose that warms your heart, or you really need to be in for Shavasana, then find that pose. Whichever pose you choose, just make sure it feels really, really good. So take a deep inhale here. Open mouth, exhale. One more time, deep inhale. Open mouth, exhale. That weight you feel as you exhale, the connection to the mat, it's just like the earth has you. You're falling deeper into the mat. It's kind of cool. You can feel that heaviness. So take this time to close your eyes or have a super soft gaze and really clear your mind here. Try to, it's hard. It's almost impossible. As things come up, just label them later as we go through our Shavasana. We'll be here for a few minutes in silence. So taking the time to clear our mind and sealing our practice is so important. So take this time, enjoy your Shavasana. Tap back into the breath. Take a deep inhale and exhale. Wiggle fingers and toes. Circle out wrists and ankles. Take both arms overhead for a full body stretch. Let it feel sweet. And then roll over onto one side and push your torso up to find a comfortable seated position. Once you're here, place your hands at your heart center, palms together, and tuck your chin and close your eyes. And let's just focus on taking a deep breath here and exhaling, thanking ourselves for showing up and being present and coming up with an amazing affirmation that hopefully you can take into the rest of the week with yourself. Bring your thumbs to your third eye. The divine light inside of me honors the divine light inside of each and every one of you. Namaste. Yay. Hope you guys enjoyed that. And I will see you later. Love you. Bye.